Warning: the following may contain material that could cause hurt feelings or emotional stress. Please do not proceed if you get butt hurt easily or have a heart condition brought on by guitar snob syndrome. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Fulton Street Beats. I got a unique episode for you today. We're going to discuss budget guitars. Not one budget guitar, but a few different budget guitars. Because it seems that there's a belief out there that, well, budget guitars are junk and they can't be good. There's no way they can be good. Well, I assure you they can be. And there is problems with budget guitar, the realm of budget guitars, and that's that you are always leery about what you're going to get. You never quite know, and for some people, for good reason, they avoid them. And I understand that. But we live in a world where even expensive guitars now have quirks and problems and quality control issues. So my logic is this. My logic is, well, if you can get a really fantastic low-budget guitar that plays, and this makes a lot of people cringe, just as good or better as a high-dollar guitar, and stop right there before we go any farther. Yes, that does happen. Believe it or not, we live in a world now where low-budget guitars can play and sound just as good as guitars that cost $1,000. Now, we always use the old saying, well, for the money, it's pretty good. And sometimes I hear that and I go, oh, for what money? For whose money? Is my money not as good as your money? I don't understand that, because to some people, $200 is like $2,000. And to some people who have that money just to throw away, going out and buying an expensive guitar for the prestige and the name, which there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your deal, go ahead and do it. I've done it. A lot of people have done it. But we learn quickly, especially when we're doing this all the time, that, well, you know what? That $4,000 guitar hanging on the wall really is just a $4,000 piece of wood hanging on the wall with pretty much the same thing going for it as a couple of $200 guitars that are hanging next to it. Now, let me explain. So, there are a lot of different guitar manufacturers. You may have your favorites, or you may have your favorite. You may be brand loyal. And brand loyalty is kind of a weird, iffy thing, because you're putting your faith in, well, something that may change overnight. For instance, Gibson. Gibson guitars aren't what they used to be. The company is not what it used to be, but yet people are brand loyal to it, kind of like they are to their football teams. And they'll fight, they'll argue, they'll say they're the best, but at the end of the day, what they've really done is, well, kind of sounding like an idiot, because they don't know what they're really talking about. And my goal here today is not to put any guitar or guitar manufacturer down, but to maybe enlighten some people on, well, what else they can get if they enjoy to play, or they're learning, or they want to get into guitars, but they think it's too expensive. So we're going to start out today with the lowest end of what I have. And I'm going to explain the quirks to you and what you can expect, because contrary to popular belief, sometimes your entry-level guitars, your entry-level, considered for a student, well, really don't make a great student guitar at all. And honestly, what might make you the best guitar, you haven't even thought of. So stick around and let me explain. Okay, So here we have a good-looking Stevie Ray Vaughan Stratocaster, right? Wrong. This is a Glary Strat, and it does say Fender on the headstock. Yes, I have done that. That is a Fender logo. It does not have the baseball-shaped headstock. We're not trying to fool anybody. This is a wall hanger. It's a conversation piece, and the purpose of this guitar, of me doing this guitar, was to show what a very inexpensive guitar could be capable of. Now, this guitar cost me $78 at the time of purchase, and I've done a lot to it. Now, this is considered an entry-level beginner student guitar when this arrived, okay? And there's so many reasons why that is not a good description. As a matter of fact, it's an outright bad one. Number one is these guitars come so poorly set up that no student or beginner is going to know the first thing about setting it up properly. That's right. The action was horrible. The strings that came on this guitar when I bought it, when I had it shipped, and that was right from Glary, it had acoustic guitar strings on it. That's right, acoustic guitar strings. So no way, shape, or form was this ready for any beginner or new player to play unless they wanted to get extremely frustrated right out of the gate. But it is a fantastic starting point for upgrades, and at $79, $78, it's not expensive to do. Now, the pickups that came in it were Wilkinson pickups, and they sounded great. They were a little low output for my taste. And do these Fender pickups that are in it now sound better? Not really. They're just more high of an output, but they don't really sound any better. It does play good with a proper setup, and it does have extremely low action, but man, for $78, I wasn't afraid to cut into it and put a left-handed trem in it like Stevie Ray Vaughan's. That's right, it's got an actual Fender trem system in it, and it's routed out for it, and it works flawlessly. I haven't changed the tuners because they hold fine. One day, maybe it'll get some new tuners, maybe even a new neck. But I've put some work into this, and it does have a shaved neck now because it did come with a big fat baseball bat neck, I like to call it. But it was a C-shaped neck, but man, it was one of the thickest necks I've ever had. And now it's an amazing neck, and it's an amazing guitar with a little bit of work. Was it worth the $78? Well, yes. To somebody who knows how to set it up, it's well worth it, providing you want to do that, and you have the know-how to do that. So there's a lot of very experienced players, well beyond my level and range, that don't know how to set up guitars. And that's not the fault of them. They just don't want to. They rather play them, and that's understandable too. But if you have the time and the effort, yes, you can set up a cheap guitar. Great. So we're going to move on to a bass guitar next, and we're going to stick with the Glary line right now. So this beautiful work of art, I like to call it. It's not a work of art, but it's a nice jazz bass, and this is a Glary jazz bass. And once again, this bass came, and out of the box, it needed a setup. But the difference with this bass is, and I found in their bass line in general, is the components sound really well and they work good together. Are they high-end? Are they top of the line? No. Do they work well? Yes, they work well. The tuners hold, the bridge holds, everything does what it's supposed to do. So with the $89 that this bass cost me, I went ahead and I put some Fender knobs on it. I put a thumb rest on it that is rosewood, and I have changed the pick guard and did some modification to make it work. Because like with anything that's in that price range, and not that it's good for the money, it's good for any money once it's set up properly. Because here's the thing, for what we can put into this really good starting point of a bass guitar, we can make it sound and play just as good. And a lot of people cringe because they've spent thousands on musical instruments. We can make it play and sound just as good for a fraction of the cost as that it would for a high-end bass guitar. That's a fact, because the pickups and the electronics have no clue what they're in. Now, that tone wood myth has been dispelled many, many, many times over. It's the electronics that are doing the work. Now, the playability is a different story. Does it have sharp fret ends? No, they're great. It has a great fretboard, and it can be set up awesome. Now, can we do upgrades this to make it more enjoyable? Of course. We could do a high mass bridge. We could do some better tuners, even though these tuners do hold and this bridge does work. We could even upgrade the pickups and pots. We can do a lot to that, and we'll touch on pickups and pots a little bit later in this episode. But we can make, the point is we can make any guitar. The starting point is great. Look at the finish. It's beautiful. Look what this pick guard did. It popped. It came with a plain white pick guard. Didn't pop. Now it pops. So quirks are that Glary uses pickups they're a little off from your standard jazz size pickups. Now they do sound good, but they're a little off. So you have to do some modifying to make them fit in this jazz bass pick guard. And I did have to modify it to make it even fit around the neck, but it does work and it does serve its purpose. And they didn't use springs underneath the screws. They actually used foam. So they set the pickups in the body, and the body cavities are routed out better than a lot of high-end bass guitars or guitars that I've seen. So that was nice. Now, are they all like that? Probably not. But this one particular one was. And that's another thing with budget guitars. Sometimes it's hit or miss. So keep that in mind. But it is with expensive guitars too. I want to point that out. So anyhow, with a little bit of work and a little bit of setup, and this is a stock except for a couple cosmetic things such as knobs and the thumb rest and the pick guard and the springs that I put under the pickups under the screws. This is a bone stock bass guitar that sounds really cool. For was it $89, I believe. Okay. Now, we're going to move along. Now we're going to go to a brand that people love to hate to love, and they have diehard fans and they have haters. And there's a couple of these guitars that I'm going to point out to you. And this is one of them. This is Firefly's guitar. Now, I have some issues with Firefly myself. Now, personally, every Firefly guitar that I have got has been really nice. But there's a lot of you who have got them and shown the proof that now they haven't been quite so nice. And obviously, they have a quality control issue. Now, this was my very first low-budget guitar. I say low budget. A $200 guitar that came set up really well out of the box. And if we're going to talk imperfections on a guitar, this guitar has none. It has zero. It has no imperfections. So what it boils down to is, well, is it your flavor? Is it what you like? Do you like this action? Is there things about this guitar that you don't like? I mean, we can look at it and go, oh, well, it doesn't have locking tuners. No, but it does have nice gold tuners that hold tune. So, yeah, you can upgrade them if you like. Me, I won't do it because it sounds so good. Pickups. These pickups are from Firefly, and they're wax potted. However, not all of them that come from Firefly are, as we have found out, which is really strange. And this has full-size pots. Yes, full-size pots in this one. Some didn't. Very odd, very strange. Action's beautiful. It sounds good, and it's fun to play. And it does not have, this particular one, I don't know how they all come, but this one has a C-shaped neck, so it's nice and fast, although it's glossy, of course, but nice and fast. And it's a Firefly, and they have a new style fret on this where they're bald on the end, so you can't have sharp fret ends. But not all of them are like that either. So when you order from Firefly, they change parts up on you, so you have to be careful of that. But Firefly in general, we're going to say for the price, and we hate to say that, for the price, they're nice. Okay, maybe there is a guitar that for the price, they're nice. Maybe this falls into that category. But let me tell you this, because this is nice. This particular one's nice for any price. This would compete, and people will cringe again. This particular Firefly would compete with a Gibson. It probably would beat a lot of them. Because remember, even Gibson makes some crap sometimes. And I'm not saying this compares to crap. What I'm saying is, if I was to put this in somebody's hands and blindfold them, they're not going to know. It's that good. And that's my point. You never know. So don't hate on them just to hate on them because you paid more for yours. Maybe somebody was smart because they paid less for theirs. Now I'm going to go into another company here. And this one is a guitar from Brandon's Custom Shop. And I believe they're out of Wisconsin, if I remember correctly. And this was, well, this is my second order from Brandon's Custom Shop. And as you can see, this is the Zakk Wylde Vertigo style, LP style guitar. But you'll notice the horn is shaped a little different. They're not trying to infringe on anybody. It has a beautiful headstock on it. And it's got gold tuners, which are Grover tuners on it. Gold hardware. It's got EMGs on it. And I want to say this guitar was right around $325. This guitar simply screams with these EMGs. Now, the funny thing about this guitar is it sounds really good. If you played it, you'd say you'd be in heaven. It's an awesome playing, feeling guitar. Makes you want to play. And it sounds like you would expect. It sounds like it looks. But this guitar does have some minor imperfections around the binding and things like that and such. But it's not a big deal. It's a great studio guitar, and it looks good. If you were on stage with this, I mean, it looks great, right? The funny thing is about this guitar is it has small pots in it. You'd never know because it's all psychosomatic. It's how it sounds to your ear. But it's a fantastic guitar, and it's beautiful, right? But if you look closely, you can nitpick and you can find out, well, you know what? I guess the paint went up a little higher here than it did here. You can nitpick it. But the point of the matter, $325, excellent playing guitar, shipped to my door. Beautiful rosewood fretboard. It's got nice frets. It's a very nice fret job. Pretty much ready to play out of the box. I think I had to adjust my bridge up just a touch. Now, is it worth $325? Yeah, I think it's definitely worth $325. Out of this guitar and the Firefly, how do they compare? Well, they compare very well to each other. They're just different. They sound different, and they give you a different personality and a different feel. Where this is more of a screamer, and that one's more of a, I don't know, a rock and roll, get down AC/DC kind of guitar, even with the 3 pickups. But this one's a squealer because it's got EMGs in it. Very cool guitar. Yes, and they're EMGs. They're legit EMGs, and it was $325. So you can see where I'm going with this. Now, let's put this one to the side, and let's go to another guitar by Brandon's Custom Shop. Now, this particular one I'm going to pick out right here came in a case, and I think I paid $2.25 for it. You ready? So let's show you the back here first. Look at this gorgeous Les Paul style, and this is, let's face it, this looks like a Les Paul. Okay, and I even did some stuff because I like to get reactions sometimes. Look at this guitar. Now, you guys, if this looks familiar to you or something very rare, yes, this has P90s in it, and this is a baby powder blue, and this is reminiscent, if not an actual reproduction of a 1956 Les Paul Custom. That's right, and it is cool, and it has amazing frets. It has full-size pots. It is shielded inside. It has P90s, and yes, no Gibson logo on the headstock, but I think you're seeing what's going on with the Kluson tuners, and I put on the back myself Gibson Custom Shop because, well, I like to irritate Gibson doing stuff like that. So we got Gibson Custom Shop on the back. We have an actual Gibson pickguard on it, and P90s. And this guitar sounds just as good as it looks. Is it perfect? No, it's got a little bit of cosmetic flaw here and there. But if you had a 1956 Gibson Les Paul Custom, you're going to have all kinds of cosmetic flaws, aren't you? So, but this one really, really is nice. I got a little nick in the clear coat up here that I did. It does have a lacquer crack right in here that also is probably my fault. And but it's a beautiful playing, beautiful sounding guitar that's probably never going to leave the studio. It's just it does everything well. These P90s do metal. They do rock and roll. They do anything you want it to do. And I love this guitar. Again, $225 with a case. Not a soft case, a hard case. So I check out Brandon's Custom Shop every once in a while to see what they're offering. Now, you'll get these guitars. They might have a blemish here or there, just so you know. But for the most, it's the playability. And they do look good. And here's that hard case. Kind of a tweed look. Hard case, a beautiful hard case. Now, the only way you can get a case from Brandon's Custom Shop is to order a guitar. It's the only way you can get one. They are extra, by the way. I ordered the case with it, but this was on sale. And I think what they were doing is getting rid of the actual Les Paul. Like, if you had Gibson on this headstock and you changed your bridge to your Gibson bridge, you'd never know. I mean, it's amazing. When you look at the electronics inside, you go, whoa, what is happening in there? Full-size pot shield. It's amazing. Super guitar. Wow. How is it that price? I don't know. But does it get better than this even? Well, let's check something else out. So this is my second most recent transaction. This guitar, and it's probably on fingerprints now, simply blew me away. Well, when I unboxed it first, I was like, wow. Because this doesn't have any imperfections in the finish, in the fit, the finish. No, there's none anywheres, and it's black. How can that be on a black guitar? They really took the care and the time to get it right. There's nothing. With a gorgeous headstock, awesome tuners, bone nut, mother of pearl inlay. Yes, this is a Harley Benton. And I had two bad experiences with an Epiphone and a Gibson Flying V. And the Epiphone was my most recent one. That was a Carina that was labeled as a limited edition. So I snagged it up at the price of $800, and it wasn't a limited edition at all. As a matter of fact, they're still producing them, and that was advertised in a natural color. And when it came, it looked like the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. That is right. It was horrible color. Nothing I would ever purchase. And it was even set up differently with different markings on it. The wood didn't run the same way as in the photos. Totally bogus photos, everything. Gibson gave me a hard time. So that guitar went by rather quickly. I threw that on reverb and gone. Wanted nothing to do with it. It came set up horribly. Just not a good guitar at all. This one, however, was a $170 guitar, maybe $178 if I remember right, from Harley Benton, Tolman Music. And this came, and I wasn't expecting much. Now, mind you, the shipping was $71. But when this came, it is a literal work of art, but it doesn't stop there. It sounds freaking awesome. It has an amazing fret job. It was set up properly out of the box. I just had to tune it. Well, to my tuning, drop C, 2 steps down, and this thing screams. So I said, we'll get into the electronics later on. It does have Roswell pickups, and I think that's where the magic really lies with this. But when you hold this in your hands and you play it, it's one of those things where, ooh, wow, it feels so good. And it's not psychosomatic. Close your eyes and play it. You go, wow. But what is psychosomatic are the electronics, because you're going to say, wow, that has to have full-size pots in it, right? Wrong. It's got small dime-size CF pots in it. I checked yesterday. Doesn't make it sound worse now that I know that. Nope. It is an amazing guitar. It's simply better than any guitar that's ever passed through this studio. Period. And I stand by that statement. Now, are they all like this? Probably not. And that's the thing. Probably not. Just like Gibsons, Ibanez, anything. Probably not all like that. But this one is. So this shows what they're capable of. Now, I plan on buying a few more Harley Bentons just to compare the quality between them all. But whoever set this guitar up knew what they were doing. They set it up right. It required no setup by me. Just required a tuning and a good playing. So this is my favorite guitar in the studio. We have a lot more over here on the wall. Currently, we are up to 19 guitars. So we have a lot over here, including an $80 build kit that is a Les Paul build kit that I built over here that I can't get to sound bad ever. And I have relicked it. I've beat the snot out of it, and it still continues to sound good. And right now it's got DiMarzio pickups in it. Very cool guitar. But what kind of guitar in the low budget price range is the best for you? Because there's so many and there's so many options. Well, first you got to find a style you like, right? And if you have any aptitude, now this part of the video is for anybody with the aptitude to do this. If you don't have the aptitude to do this, you might not even want to watch this. But have you ever considered building your own guitar? That's right. There's a lot of companies that make some pretty decent kits. Now, if you want to put them together to learn, that's a good thing too. But does the hardware that come with these kits, is it decent? Some are, some aren't. But the point is, get a guitar that has the bones. You can build this guitar any way you want to. And if it turns out like shit, you know whose problem it is? Your problem. You did it. Nobody to blame but yourself. Well, let me show you something real quick. Stay right there. So this right here is the love of my studio life. And I never thought it would be this way. And by the way, I've built, if you watch any of my videos, you know I've built a lot of kit guitars. And some Jaymz, some Ibanez Gem style guitars that are really spot on. Guitar Kit World, shout out to them because they make some nice kits. This kit, however, did not come from Guitar Kit World. I'm sorry to say. I'd love to try to build a bass kit from Guitar Kit World. However, this one came from Leo Jaymz. This is a Rickenbacker style 401, 403 style bass guitar kit. Now, quirks on this kit. Well, I had a crack in the body when it came, for sure. I have fixed it. There's a lot of people who look at this and think they know what it is, or have one from a different manufacturer and think that they know what it is, what mine is. And I'm going to tell you right now, they advertise this as swamp ash. If you go to their website, it is not swamp ash. For those of you who know anything about wood or are custom drum builders like I am, we know our woods. This is not swamp ash. How do I know that? Well, first, the grain is not swamp ash grain. Second is the weight. This bass guitar is almost 12 pounds. It is more the weight of walnut. That is right. What they use is a type of Chinese walnut on this particular one. Are they all that way? I have no clue, but this one is. And it does have a maple neck. It does have a beautiful, beautiful fretboard. It does have the nice inlays. And it was a blast to build. And as you can see, it is quite gorgeous, is it not? Yes, I did the finish myself. I have done the electronics myself. I have done the Rickenbacker bridge myself. The only thing that I have not changed on this yet is the tuners, and these tuners work great. But we're going to put some actual Rick tuners on it, and yes, we have Rickenbacker on the headstock. We also have flat wounds on this thing. What does this guitar sound like? Well, my goal was to get it to sound like a Rickenbacker, and guess what? Goal achieved. It sounds like one, it plays like one, and I love it. A lot of people hate Rickenbackers. They hate the bridge. I like them. I used it. Now, this pickup is an aftermarket pickup. It's not a Rick pickup. I actually ordered this pickup out of China and took a chance on it. And when it came out, I was overwhelmed by how good it sounded. So I had a lot of work to do on this, a lot of routing to make this pickup look good. I've routed it out for the electronics just like a Rick. Everything. This is just an amazing guitar. Now, if it turned out wrong, who would I have to blame? Me. But you know what? I got exactly what I wanted and a bass that plays exactly how I want. What's my total investment in this? Well, the kit itself was $199. And I probably have another $250 into it. Shopping for the right components and taking my time. So for a very little money, I have exactly what I want and is comparable to a bass guitar that costs in the thousands. Now that is what you can do if you have the aptitude to do it. Not everybody does. So you can still buy bass guitars, we'll say from Harley Benton, that are very decent, that I would consider entry-level bass guitars, that must be pretty good. Now, have I had a Harley Benton bass yet? Nope. So I can't speak from experience, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be the next purchase for the channel. So hopefully I can speak from experience soon. So quick overview. Budget guitars can sound good, they can be set up right, and they can play awesome, and they can be all over the place. So shop around, make wise decisions. Don't over-expect when you order one. Under-expect. And then you're always satisfied. But under-expect for your price range. And what I mean by that is, well, if you're ordering a $200 guitar, and it comes and you go, oh, man, that's got dime-sized pots. That's probably what you're going to get for $200. But is it psychosomatic? Did you know it had dime-sized pots when you first played it? That's my little word of advice for today. I want to thank you guys for watching Fulton Street Beats, and I hope this helps out a little bit in the world of some budget guitars and what you can expect and what you can get. Now, there's a lot of junk out there, too. We can do a video on that sometimes. If you guys watch my Glary guitar review of their electric acoustic, you'll know that that was the biggest pile of dog shit that ever came through the studio. And I call them out on it. It is what it is, but they're not all like that. So every manufacturer can be bad, but most of them can be good too. Thanks a lot, guys. And remember, it's rock and roll that makes the world go around. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Peace.